It's not lit up, but I'm thinking I'm already live. So, hi everyone, and welcome once again to our Hobby Memorial Library event. Our computers must have had way too much spring break fun because we had a little bit of technical difficulty, but we are on a roll now. We have with us today from Workforce Solutions, Maura Padin, and she will be talking to us today about resumes and job fairs. We also have with us Keisha Holman and Brian Oakes from our own career services. So if they have specific questions at the end, they can go ahead and ask the questions. So, Mara, welcome.
Thank
Are
you.
you ready to get started?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just wanted to say good morning to everybody or afternoon already. Uh, Again, a little bit of technical difficulty, but thank God for phones, right? Uh, I have been with, I'll tell you a little bit about myself so we will be complete strangers for a whole hour. Um, I have been working with Workforce Solutions for going on 9 years now. And with our SOAR program, which we actually take employability skills to the different schools, going on 4 years now. So I am housed at the Career Center for KISD. And so that's pretty much what I'm going to share about me. Let's get started. So today we're going to be talking about resume and job fair basics. So we're going to actually talk about, you can go ahead and do the next one. We're going to be discussing what's a resume, the purpose of the resume, parts of the resume, researching the company and the job fair part, creating a game plan, dressing for success during the job fair, and then proper paperwork for you to take with you. So we're going to touch a lot of information. I talk quite fast, so I want you to stop me if I need to answer questions, and I will ask if you have any questions here and there. So feel free. I don't mind an interruption. Go ahead, Cindy. You can do the next. All right, I want to read this real quick. It's from a career columnist on LinkedIn. It says the goal is to present yourself well and quickly. And resumes, we're going to need them for everything that we do, but they have to be short, sweet, and to the point. I had dealt with people before that had resumes and they were 9 pages, 5 pages, 3 pages. And so a lot of employers will ask you, uh, 5 years to 7 years of experience, maybe 10, depending on what job you're applying to. So 2 pages the most. So usually you can actually stick to just one. So the goal is to present yourself well and quickly. So that was very well said by this Katie, um, which I write to on LinkedIn. Go ahead, Cindy. So let's start with what is a resume. And I know that many of you might have a resume already done. Many of you are probably college students, or you are an adult already with a career, changing careers. We're going to need a resume for everything, and we're going to have to prepare one whether we like to or not. And so I'm going to read the definition quickly. A document created and used by a person to present their background, skills, and accomplishments, typically used to screen applicants, often followed by an interview. So, really, the purpose of the resume is for you to get an interview. So, if you think about it, you're actually competing with people that you don't even know. So, the resume is you on paper, and it takes usually an employer anywhere from 9 to maybe 30 seconds to look at your resume and say, I'm going to put this on the yes pile and I'm going to put this one on the no pile. Go ahead, Cindy. Let's go through the parts of the resume, which I'll go through quickly and talk about it here. Uh, the contact information, you guys already know what that is going to be your name. It's going to be your address. Addresses are actually optional now. A lot of people like to use their physical address, but also an email address and your telephone number. That way, the person that's looking at your resume, if they decide to keep it, they can contact you. I've had resumes turned in without names, and these are adults. And I work with students. Sometimes the students do even better than the adults do, believe it or not. One of the things that deters an employer from calling you or keeping your resume, it's going to be, I want you to guess and see what you think keeps an employer from calling you for an interview. I'm going to give you a second. You don't have to answer. All right. It's going to be your email address.
Yeah,
Your,
that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
your email address, because we've seen everything from Hottie 24/7. We've seen everything from, if you're Hispanic, Papi Chulo 29, or we have probably Tipsy Bartender 91. All these are absolutely real email addresses they've put on resumes. And so we advise everyone to get a professional email address. And it's going to look something like just your name, dot your last name. And I want to touch the subject in reference to the email. A lot of people like to put the graduation year and your birth date and your favorite number. But we're living in an era right now, in a time where they're going to look at your that number and think, oh, is this person 45 years old, or this person 56 years old, or this person's too young. It's called ageism, which is actually illegal, but you want to be able to present yourself so that you get the chance to be interviewed. So for me, if I was to apply for a job, because I am in my mid 50s, then it might not be as easy if I put the year that I graduated from high school, or how old I am, or my birthday year. So if you want to stick with any numbers, just do a number one. Everybody wants to hire a number one. If I was an employer, I would hire a number one. So just be on the safe side. Okay. My daughter had a number 45 for her favorite number and always put it at the end. And the employer is probably going to think, oh, this person's 45 years old. We're looking for somebody younger. But they don't know that she's actually 28 years old. Okay. So in my case, I want the opportunity to be interviewed after they see my resume. I'm not putting any numbers by my name. They don't know that I'm very energetic. They don't know that I love to work with people. They don't know that I'm very passionate about what I do. So make sure that you give yourself the chance to at least be called for the interview, and that your email address is not the one that's going to keep you from it. Okay. Let's move over to any questions on that.
No questions.
Okay, so let's move to the objective. And the objective, it's something that a lot of people used to use, is what you want to do and why you want to do it in a small sentence. Okay, right now at the workforce, we argue, no, you don't need an objective anymore. Yes, you need an objective. Well, this is what I say: if you have enough experience to back up what you're applying, where you're applying to on your resume, then don't use an objective. Okay, you can do something like a summary of qualifications or something like that. But the objective, when you are younger and you don't have a lot of job experience, you're graduating from college, you haven't started on your career or your position that you want to apply to, then I would say have an objective. Because if you don't have a lot of experience, like I tell the high schoolers here, make sure that you write an objective. That way you can let the employer know, hey, this is what I want to do and why. And then they go, oh God, this guy doesn't have a lot of experience, or this gal doesn't have a lot of experience, but they know what they want to do. So it is important. It's really up to you if you want to use one. I think that if you are trying to, if you're graduating from college, if you are maybe high school and you're trying to write your resume, an objective will be just fine. Okay. Then we move to the work history. And in work history, again, you're going to go, we're going to talk about the different parts of resume here in a second, but you're going to go from your most recent resume, I'm sorry, your work experience, to your least recent. So it's going to go backwards. And so you're going to have the company name, you're going to have what town, what state, the date when you started, the day when you ended, you're going to have the position that you took within that company. You'd be surprised how many people don't even know what their supervisor's name was or is. So I would advise for you to know and start jotting those things. If you're young and on the younger spectrum, make sure that you copy down everywhere that you go to work. You have a phone, you can put everything on the notes in your phone numbers, email addresses, all that stuff. Okay, so and then you're going to talk about your duties. What is it that you did when you were working? Sometimes you'll say, well, I would have people put down, let's say, McDonald's, okay, and their position was cook, and then on their duties they put cook, and it's like, okay, what does a cook do? What did you do as a cook? Did you um, had to um, order food? Did you have to do a inventory? Did you have to rotate the food? Did you have to take the orders and things like that? So, and if you're not sure on how to word it, you can always, that's what we have the internet for. Everything's at your fingertips. You can look for different duties and things like that that you actually perform at that specific job. Okay. And then we're going to go to the skills, and we talk about skills are very important. And so you have soft skills and you have hard skills. Soft skills are going to be your interpersonal skills. Okay. And believe it or not, employers will hire you for your hard skills, your technical skills. But if you don't have the soft skills to deal with people, to listen, to communicate, to be punctual, to have great time management, to um, to be able to get along with others, you're probably going to be out in the time that, within the first 30 days. Sometimes they give you a little time, 90 days. Um, but the skills are very important. So I mentioned some of the soft skills. And then when you say hard skills, it's what you learn through learning and education. Okay. So let's say, for example, I am bilingual. I speak Spanish and English. So that's a hard skill. If you learn how to type, if you learn how to drive, anything that they teach you in school that you have learned that you use on a regular basis to be able to perform your job, that is your technical skills. Those are your hard skills. But employers, what they're looking for, it's a combination of both. You do your job well, but you're also very hardworking. You're kind. You help others. You take initiative. All those things are so important for you to keep your job. Okay. And then we have the education. You're going to start with the education that you have at the most recent. So if you're graduating from college now, then that's what you're going to put down there. If you're doing a graduate program, that's what you're going to start with, and then estimated graduation date or anything along those lines, or if you graduated already, exit, you get the gist. You're going to use your education, and you can have a part also for certifications and licenses as well, or trainings. There could be other parts. It's going to be your resume. This is just basic um, parts of the resume right now that we're discussing. Any questions before we move to the types of resume?
No, we don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. So go ahead, Cindy. So types of resume, these are just, I'm going to talk about this three briefly. There are different types. You have the federal resume, which that's a whole different workshop. And usually our veteran services are the ones that um, will teach that specific workshop. But let's talk about the three most common resume types. So we're going to start with the chronological, then we have functional, and then we're going to have combination. So let's look at the chronological real quick. Go ahead, Cindy.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Okay, I'm sorry I can't even point because I don't have the computer, but this is going to be the chronological is going to be the most common. Okay, these are the ones that a lot of employers prefer. Mainly when you go online and you ask for a template for a resume, this is what it's going to give you. Okay. And this is a great resume for people who have um, the same type of work history. Maybe when you don't have any gaps in your career. Like, for example, I had 8 months of a gap. I used to work for Temple Independent School District. I decided I did not want to teach to become a counselor. And it took me about 8 months to be able to find a job. And that's why I'm with the workforce. It's been almost 9 years now. So I changed careers. And so I had a gap of 8 months. And when you go to an interview or you talk to someone and you give them your resume, that's what they're going to look for. So the chronological is usually for people who have same history, no gaps in their employment, and you have and this is what usually the employers prefer, and you will actually have everything bullet pointed, and everything's going to be organized in chronological order. Okay, any questions on this one specifically?
No, it doesn't look like we have any.
Okay, let's move on to the functional resume. All right. So the functional resume is one of my favorites. I even got my job with the functional resume. And I talk to high schoolers a lot and college students the same. If you do not have enough experience after you, obviously, when you're graduating, you don't have enough experience in what you actually are going to school for, or even high schoolers that never worked or have had maybe one job, this is a great resume for those people who do not have a lot of job experience, or you have different types of jobs, or your history is different. It's in different career fields, because it's focused on your skills. So as you can see there, the center, it says skills, and you have all the skills. And you can actually have different types of jobs. It could be babysitting, it could be sales, it could be restaurant, it could be administration, it could be managerial, but you don't have to put any duties on there. You're just going to focus on your skills. And this is very good for those of you who are trying to go from one industry to another, graduating from college or graduating from high school, or or you have just different types of jobs. Okay, let's talk about the next one, which is our combination. Okay, on the combination, this one here is for people on the opposite of the chronological and functional. If you have long employment gaps, this will be one that you could use. On this one, it's obviously it says combination because you're going to use chronological style with also your skills mixed into the same resume. And if you've had several short-term positions, or you, let's say, for example, you had to, there are some, I've had customers that have worked just temporary jobs like all their life. And that's really hard. We have to gather, and that is a no for a lot of employers. So it's always good for you to keep your job at least 6 months to a year if you're wanting to change. I talk to our seniors and our high schoolers a lot because they just get up and quit a job. They never give a 2-week notice. They don't build bridges, they burn them. And so the combination, I always tell them, make sure that you have everywhere that you've worked, what was it that you did, who is your supervisor. And so on the combination, you're going to have to use more information that you did on the first and on the second, because you're going to have to include your skills here as well. And so this is also, if every job that you've had doesn't add up to a clear career path, then this will be a good resume for you to use, the combination resume. Any questions?
No, no questions.
Okay, I want to talk about the font, and I want to talk about the titles and the body itself. We always say that we don't want any abbreviations when it comes to your resume. So no abbreviations. You're going to spell everything out street, trail, Texas, all that. Use proper names. We as interviewers always look at um, your grammar. That's important. Okay, grammar. We have so many tools that we can use now to help us with correcting a typo or a misspelled word because it happens. Make sure that when you finish your resume, you give it to somebody to review it. So that way you have another set of eyes looking at it, not just you, because you can miss something. The Your name should always be bigger than life. So I would say about 18 font. And the body should be 12. And the titles, for example, like objective, work history, skills, education should be a size 14. So 18, 14, and 12 on the body. And then do not mix any fancy lettering. Just stick with Arial or Times Roman numeral, I think it's called. I'm not very sure. Calibri, which is one of my favorites. It's not block or anything like that, but it's legible. You can read it. I've seen resumes very fancy, and it depends on the industry that you're going into. Because if you're going into a creative industry, then it's different. This is just basic resume info, just for you to apply for employment. Okay. All right. So I think we're gonna. This is it in reference to the resumes. Um, I think we're gonna step into job fair, the basics of job fair basics. All right. So every time we do interviews, or we talk about interviewing, um, we have to prepare. You have to prepare for everything: to get married, for a test, for meeting your in-laws for the first time. Preparation, and is prepare, prepare, prepare. I cannot say it enough. So you have to do your homework. If you're going to a job fair, okay, make sure that you know the organization and the organizations that are going to be there. Okay, usually there's a list that's going to come out. When we do job fairs at the workforce, they have a map of the place where the job fair is going to be held. And on top of that, then they have the list of employers. Make sure you study what employers are you interested in talking to. Okay, what positions are they hiring for? Make sure that you visit the company's website. Make sure you know the motto, the mission statement. What product do they sell? Why do they do what they do? What are their services? I usually go in there and I creep on the company. When you go into a website, it says about us. And you can learn a lot about that company. Who's the CEO? Because when you go into this job fairs, you will be surprised. I mean, you got to stand out. You will be surprised the questions they ask you. When they ask you, well, why do you want to work for us? Tell us a little bit about our company. Do you know anything about our company? And you're going to be like, so make sure that you study, that you research, that you know this information about the companies that you're interested in. Okay. Because sometimes it's a lot. We're having a senior job fair coming up on the 17th of April at the Expo Center. It's going to be from 9 to 4. Disclaimer. Um, so there's going to be a lot of employers there, and we're trying to get our students ready for that as well. So I am actually letting you know as well. Be prepared to be tested, because employers will ask you questions. Like, for example, I had a friend that they asked, and so, do you know the year that our company was founded? Who's the CEO? Things like that, to see if you did your homework. So make sure that you know where you're going to go, who you want to speak to, and you're ready to answer questions. But make sure that you learn, what is it that they do? What products do they sell? Why do I want to work for this company? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Cindy. All right. So now that you have research the company, you're going to create a game plan. You're going to arrive early. Those of you who are not too punctual, don't get there late. If the job fair is from 9 to 4 or from 9 to 12, don't show up at 11:30, 11 o'clock. I would say impress the employers and set the standard. So you should get there earlier than anybody. Okay. Go to bed early, get some rest. Um, Plan to speak to a specific number of companies. Say, okay, I want to talk to this company, highlight them. Again, research about the company, prepare your elevator speech. And what that really entails is mainly, it should include an overview of your background. It should include your skills, your experience. What is it that you're doing now? What are you interested in doing? And it shouldn't be more than 30 seconds. Okay, there's other people that are waiting to speak to this employer. So it should be short, sweet, and to the point. And there's a lot of examples on YouTube on an elevator speech. Sometimes they say, well, what is your elevator pitch? It's pitch or speech, and usually it's 30 seconds. You can do it up to a minute. It depends who you're speaking to and what the situation is. Make sure that you make copies of your resume. How many people are you wanting to meet with? How many employers are you wanting to show your resume to? So have a folder with all of your resume information on there. Um, you can also have copies of maybe your transcripts. What if you ask for an interview or they ask you to interview right there and then? You just never know. And then that way you're prepared. What does that tell the employer? That you're a go getter, that you're ready to go. Okay. So you have to think about these things ahead of time before you go into the job fair. So, and I would say, don't you feel more confident and more organized now that you have a plan? When we have a plan, it just works better. You're just not winging it, just showing up and kind of just depending on your knowledge, and you just never know what they're going to ask you, and you haven't even gotten ready. Okay. Make sure that your resume is updated as you change, as you go from job to job or supervisor to supervisor, etc. Make sure that your resume is up to date. All right, go ahead, Cindy. This is a topic that we talk about a lot now more than ever because anytime that I go to job fairs, I see so many types of people dressed like they're just going to the park. And when you go into the store, everything's getting shorter, everything's ripped, everything's low plunge neckline. And so make sure that you are professional and that you could dress business casual too. Okay, you got to dress like you're going to an interview when you go to the job fair, because that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to dress to impress. Okay. When you dress properly, that employer is going to think, okay, this guy has good judgment. Okay, his decision making skills are on point. I've seen people that they look like they're going to a club, tight dresses, low. There's places for that type of dressing, but when you're going to a place where you want to apply for a job that is part of what you have gone to school for, or something that you always wanted, or even if it's a stepping stone into something else, make sure that you look professional. Make sure you stick to neutral colors. And you guys know what neutral colors are. I'm not going to go into that. You want to be the focus of the interview, or when you are standing there, if you have a suit, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, I'm one of those people that I love secondhand stuff, believe it or not. And I just, if I buy a little suit or just a blazer, I can take it to the cleaners and it looks great, and then put a nice blouse with it, some slacks and some heels, and I'm ready to go. I love accessories. So those of you who love accessories, keep them down to a minimum. Same thing with makeup, same thing with your perfume or cologne. A lot of people are allergic. You don't want to be known for the person that, oh my God, did you smell that person? Oh my God, that perfume was just so strong. So you want to make sure that you smell clean, because hygiene is very important. I cannot emphasize it. I am child size, and I worked at the workforce at the employment office, and I had to work very, very closely with people, and I smelled everything. If they didn't bathe, if they didn't brush their teeth, some people just walked in there in pajamas, they didn't brush their hair. And you're looking for work. Make sure your nails are clean if you're a guy. I don't color my nails all the time, but when I do, it looks nice. If you have a beard, those young people that just, that's really in now, the beards, and make sure it's well kept. and that it looks neat when you sit down, or when you actually are talking to an employer. Don't forget that it's like going to an interview. They're looking at everything. Okay. They're looking at everything. Any questions on this?
No, we don't have any.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and go to the next one. All right, so we're almost over. For those of you who are, oh my God, this lady's talking so much. During the job fair, make sure that you introduce yourself, say who you are, what do you do, and what you're looking for. Okay? It's so good when somebody actually introduces themselves. Make sure that you do a firm handshake. I practice handshakes with the kids here all the time, and you'd be surprised how no one knows sometimes how to give you a handshake. A handshake can say so much more. It's like nonverbal communication. Body language can say more about you than you can say in words. And a handshake is kind of like that. It'll tell the employer, hey, this person's a confident person. Okay, when you're making eye contact. And I always say that a handshake is like a hug. I'm going to have both of my hands. It's kind of weird to do this, but this right here should go into the other person's curvature of their hand, and you're going to press. I mean, not tear their hand up. Remember, I have rheumatoid arthritis. Some people might have the same thing, or they're in pain. But if you're a guy, be a little softer with the women, but not so that it is kind of like a, like a, we call it a hand rag shake, or, you're just overly excited too when you hold both hands, and just practice with someone on how to shake a hand. Make sure eye contact is very important, to look at someone when you're speaking to them. That way they can see that you're being honest, that you're being sincere. Speak clearly, and don't forget to smile. Sometimes when we get upset, when we get nervous or anxious, we tend not to smile. I always have a very serious face. I have these little lines right here that make me look like I'm upset all the time, and I'm not. So I have to learn how to actually remind myself all the time to smile. Okay? A smile can change everything. You'd be surprised. And make sure that that opportunity, after you introduce yourself, you're going to deliver your elevator speech or your pitch. Okay? Tell them about what you have done, about your skills, about what you plan, what are your goals, things like that. You're going to talk about your skills. You're not going to talk about anything else. And usually also in a regular interview setting, when you do your elevator speech, is going to go with the question, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they might start with that. So, hey, you introduce yourself and they go, hey, Paul, so tell me a little bit about yourself. And so that's where you're going to have to like bring out your elevator speech. Make sure you practice it with someone, in the mirror, with your parents or with your spouse. Or I had a poodle that was the only one that paid attention to me at one time. And so I practiced my elevator speech with my poodle. I know that's weird, but hey. Um, Make sure that you expect possible questions. They're going to ask you questions. Again, like I said before, make sure that you get ready for anything that is unexpected. So questions are going to be asked. Why do you want to work with us? Um, do you know anything about our company? What type of job are you looking for? Even the pay. And when it comes to pay, don't ask anything about pay. You should know what a job pays already. If you already know that there is a job announcement, it'll say it. If not, familiarize yourself with the Texas Workforce Commission website on the labor market information, and it'll tell you what position you're applying to at entry level, at mid level, at advanced level, and how much they pay in the Central Texas area if that's what you're looking for work, or anywhere in Texas. It'll tell you, so that way you have an idea, so it doesn't catch you by surprise. And also, get ready to ask questions. There's nothing that an employer dislikes the most is someone who doesn't have any questions for them, because then it's not showing them that they are interested. And so you can ask questions like, I don't know, what's a typical day around, the company in this position, or do you offer benefits? You can look up some questions. There's so much information online that you can ask. You can ask about scheduling. You can ask about the culture of the company, things like that. And then I know that it's very, very blunt and very direct, but if you feel that it's right and you've clicked with the employer that's there, usually they'll have maybe three people from their human resources or the hiring manager there, and you feel the opportunity, just dare to ask for an interview right there and then. And so make sure you take notes to know which company you spoke to, get the name of the person. Remembering someone's name is incredible. It'll do a lot for you because everybody feels important when you remember their name. So make sure that you take little notes. Who did you speak to for this company? Things like that that will help you um, for them to remember who you are. So make sure that you dare to ask for an interview. I know that during the job fair, there's going to be probably a big crowd. You're going to have to wait probably in line. Make sure that instead of actually showing body language like you're so tired of waiting, because a lot of us are very impatient. I include myself in there. It's something that I'm still learning. But make sure that you practice then. You look at your resume. What are you going to say while you're waiting? And they might be looking at you too and how you react in a social situation. You just never know. Okay. And make sure that you follow up. If you didn't get an interview, I would send a thank you note. I would definitely send a thank you note. Let them know, maybe something that you talked about so they can remember who you are. Not everybody practices that anymore. That's a lost art of people writing a little thank you note. Or if you could communicate with them, they give you a card, you want to do it through email. Absolutely. Um, Make sure that you follow up with each one of the employers that spoke to you, if they actually offered you like an interview or to speak to you further, make sure that you direct that email or that letter specifically to the to each of the companies individually. Don't just write a mass letter for everybody, because then it's not going to make them feel special and they might not remember who you are. You have to say specifically, "Hey, I spoke to you about this. You asked me the question, who's our CEO, and I was able to answer it. In parentheses, I'm so proud of myself, et cetera, et cetera." That way you stand out and it's not like everybody else. So what you do at the job fair is essentially the same as when you go to an interview, pretty much. And so, what I want to leave with you is mainly make sure that you smile, okay? Make sure that you are honest. Make sure that you are above everything yourself. Okay. Sometimes we mask ourselves. We really don't show our personality when we talk to employers. And remember that this is also an opportunity for you to network with other job seekers about other companies, about meeting someone and connecting with them so that you can find out. This could be also a practice for you if you've never been to a job fair. A lot of the students that we signed up, I went to a shoemaker not too long ago, and we had it was a senior fair, and a lot of them signed up and they're like, well, I don't really need to go to that. I said, just go for the experience. That way you can experience what it feels like to actually go and get dressed to impress and get ready for something. It's an experience that you're going to have to repeat probably many, many times before you get the job that you really want. So that's all I have for you today. I know I talked super, super fast, um, but does anybody have any questions for me? If you do, this is my email and phone number. I am at the Colleen Career Center. And so I'm in room 204. If you ever need to contact me, you can call this number or email me for questions. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Maura. And I just want to remind everyone, the students at CTC, that there is an Eagle Career Closet that we have here. We partner with our Career Center. If anybody needs any clothes, any professional clothes, then make sure you check us out. Just go to our library website and you can see what we have, or come on in. So,
All right. Well, thank you for
Maura,
having
thank you
me.
so much for coming today. I really appreciated all the great information that you shared. I wanted the students to know that CTC Career Services is here to help students with their resume and job search, and also that we're going to be doing resume tune-ups here on campus on March 28th and 29th in the library. On the 28th, we'll be there from 10 to 1, and then on the 29th, we'll be there from 1 to 4. And so I was hoping if you had just another minute, if you could speak to including high school education on the resume.
On the speak on what? I'm sorry.
Including high school education on the resume.
Oh, okay. You mean like if lack of work? A lot of students don't have enough job experience. And that's why when we go to middle schools or start in ninth grade, we motivate the students to volunteer, to join organizations within the school, to uh, just get involved, whether it is in sports or band or art, because that way you have something to put down. If you walk somebody's dogs on a regular basis, you can put that down. You just have to have the information and know what the description of the job is. So those are the things you can put down there. If you have certifications or achievements, you can have a part that will say education, certifications, achievements, anything that you're involved. If you're part of any honor society, that is very important to you to put down. So just for job seeking purposes, those are great things. If you babysit, a lot of kids like, oh, babysitting counts. Absolutely, even if they don't pay you. I mean, I never got paid for babysitting, but a lot of kids do get paid for babysitting. So those are things that we try to educate the kids on and motivate them to do. So those are things they can put down on their resume.
Thank you.
Okay.
yeah. I had a question, Maura. If you have a career and you're trying to change to a different career, but you've spent the last 3 decades in one particular career. Would it be better to do, I know this is, Akeisha and I have talked about this, to go the skills route, even though the last 30 years or so has been in one field, but you want a different field. So would you just list the skills as your quality?
And this is the thing. You're going to have a lot of skills in 30 years, or unless you did the same thing. But always read the description of the job, because they have keywords that you can include in your skills that would kind of ring a bell to the person that's reading it. And it's important too, because a lot of resumes that we actually send out, even if we're not person to person, they're going to be electronic and it's a machine and they're going to pick up on those keywords. So you have to read the description to be able to use those, and you might be able to word it differently, but you've done it. You've done it. So I would do that, and no more than a page. I mean, it's 30 years of experience. You can talk about that in the interview. But what are the most important things? And start with the most important skill. Like, for example, on mine, I always put bilingual, because you're worth two people. I mean, a lot of people are wanting to, and make sure that if you're bilingual, you actually speak it, write it, and read it. If you do halfway, you're not bilingual. I always say that. Make sure you know both languages equally, or just about equally. So that way you are able to help that employer, because when you promise to be bilingual and then you can't even carry a conversation, it's not good. But again, description of the job is very important to look at, use the keywords and include them on those skills. But yeah, definitely I would go the functional when you're changing from one career to another.
All right, well, thank you. Alyssa, any other questions?
No, we didn't have any more.
Okay. All righty. Well, Maura, thank you so much. And
Always a pleasure.
we we truly appreciate it. We've had some technical issues. We still may be fixing the video a little bit. because we still had a few technical issues along the way here. But we always love when you guys come. You always give us lots of great information. And you know, guys, if y'all have any questions, Workforce Solutions, Work in Texas, these guys and our Career Center have all the answers. You don't need to do it alone. They're there to help for both.
All right.
So before we go, I just want to give you guys a heads up of some of the events we have going on. This Wednesday, we have another night sky tour with Warren Hart. He will tell us what's going on in the April night sky. Also on Wednesday, we have Writers Guild. If you're creative, check us out. Just call the library or go on our webpage and hit the events. We also have lots more fun military history series events coming up. April 19th is the Dallas Story, which is about a factory that changed pretty much the way the country operates during crisis. And we have our pre-recorded life stories, which are amazing. We also have, if you ever wanted to own a horse, here's your chance. It's about horse ownership, the pros and cons. So, you know, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be involved in this. This will be online because I want to see what happens with horse owners. We also have a Smash Brothers tournament, April 10th to April 13th. And if you are a welding student, bring your welding objects for a contest. Bring them by tomorrow. And on Wednesday morning, midday, we're going to do some judging. It's just an aside from byways that we have going on. And we want to shine a light on our welding students. So lots of fun activities coming up. Thank you so much, Maura. Thank you so much, Keisha. We seem to have lost Brian. Oh, he is there. We just didn't see him before. So, you guys, y'all have a great rest of your day. Let's hope it gets warmer.
Yes.
Yes, much warmer. So, Alyssa, you can take us out, but look, Maura, don't leave us yet. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.